Excellent. Next on the agenda is Jesse Cooper to come up and talk about lessons learned of the 2013 Arizona Communications Unit Training Field Day.
Got all that?
I got it. There's a lot there. There's a whole bunch more, actually. So.
Good afternoon. I'm going to cover the lessons learned from our Communications Unit Training Field Day. We'll hit the background. How did we get here? Go over the event, the accomplishments, and probably the most valuable, which is the lessons learned, and how do we take this forward? What is our next steps in the state of Arizona where we can implement this plan and train some additional staff? So 2008, OAC started out with the communications unit leader and the communications technician, all hazards classifications. The wildland community has had this for decades. So all hazards came around. Through the efforts of the PSCC, the SIEC, and the PSCC office, we've implemented a group that is starting to credential these individuals throughout the state of Arizona, recognize them, and come up with policies and procedures on how we're going to operate. So all of our classes are NIMS compliant, and we have plenty of classes throughout the state of Arizona, but one thing that was lacking was the ability for these individuals to get their task books completed. So the PSCC office, through a grant from DHS, we obtained that through the central region and MOU'd it over to the PSCC office so we could create a field day to allow these individuals to get their task books completed. That was the one thing that was lacking, was the ability. We could get them through the training, but we couldn't get task books completed fast enough. So the event was supported through SKIP Initiative number 10 and through the statewide, the SIEC and the NIMS Communications Work Group. We opted to have this communications field day. And the event was the first of its kind within the state. We held it on Wednesday, February 20th. It was a fantastic day. I think it snowed in Phoenix that day. So we picked a fabulous day to be outdoors. The PSCC office did a competitive procurement process to select a vendor to help out with this. We partnered with SAIC, was awarded that. Mike Paulette was fantastic. He was our facilitator that helped the planning teams get this together. And the PSCC office partnered with the Arizona National Guard and the 91st Civil Support Team. They were instrumental. We were able to use the Papago facility. We were able to use a lot of their resources and a lot of their people to help us out with this training. I don't think it would have been possible if they hadn't supported us through that. We originally targeted this in the spring or fall of 2012, but we had procurement issues. I think Susan was also looking at like a July field day, and we said in Phoenix that's not going to work for us. So we pushed it out until we could get it into the cooler months. January 2012, a survey was conducted. The PSCC office did a fantastic job of sending out information. We're trying to figure out what tasks needed to be completed, how many individuals did we have to get this done. February through September, the procurement process was completed, and SAIC was chosen to do that. The event planning team, we'll get into a little more of who those individuals were, but we did the planning process and got everything ready for our February timeline. So our goals, we want to enhance skills and abilities. We had the training completed, we had the individuals identified. What was lacking was enough events for these folks to get their task books completed. That was really our primary objective. We wanted to get people together, build relationships, allow people to get task books completed, and really provide opportunity that some people may not get to see. Some people don't get to do event planning very often, and you only have 3 years from the time of your class to get your task book completed. So the structure of the field day, we put out a call to event planning members to figure out how much stuff they could bring, what could they bring with them, and what were they willing to support for us. So trainees were separated into various groups, and we had 4 teams that were all set up. We rotated them through various stations so they could get experience with all of the different equipment that we had available. We'll break that down a little bit. But probably one of the greatest things that we had was the ability to network and meet other people from around the state. We brought people from all over the state to work together. It wasn't just a Maricopa County event. But interoperable communications is as much technology as it is relationships. And it's who you know, who you can call, and what resources you can get a hold of. So that was valuable for everybody to get together and figure out who in the state can do what and who has the equipment. So it was a single day event for the staff. We set up all the mobile communications equipment. February 20th was our field day. And then the following day, all of the event planners and participants met up at the PSCC office, and we just completed task sign-offs. That was our goal, and our objective was to get as many tasks completed as possible. We knew we weren't going to complete a credential through this task book day, but we wanted to give people the opportunity. If they don't get a chance to program radios or set up portable repeaters, that was the purpose of this, was to give them the opportunity to do that. The Papago Military Reservation supported our activities. They set us up with the Joint Information Center, the log cabin, which is this, I think it's the old 211 center. If you've ever been there, the softball field, we set up all of our equipment out there, and then we had the civil support team let us use their conference room so we could do programming stations and let people have hands-on experience. Our event planning team became tech managers and hosted tech stations. They were also the individuals signing off task books as we went through the process. This is just a map of our area, of our different stations we had set up. Again, we had 4 teams and 4 stations, so we rotated them throughout the day. They just moved from station to station. This is just an overview of our schedule. We had 3 mobile communications units that were used to support this. ADEM brought out the Bullfrog, the 91st CST brought out their command suite, and then the Phoenix UASI brought out their communications suburban. All of our event planning members were fantastic with bringing out caches of radios, portable repeaters, phone equipment, gateways. If we had it in the area or the state, we tried to bring it all out. We wanted as much equipment there as possible for everybody to get a look at. Michael Paulette, he was our director, and Matt Nielsen was another communications specialist who helped us out. Our event planning team was communications specialists and experts from around the state of Arizona. And you can see various pictures of our planning team there. I think Justin is spinning the radio there.
I see him doing that all the time.
So our event planning team, we wanted to get as many of the already credentialed all hazards, ComLs, and Comtechs who've already been recognized. That's preferable to have somebody who's already been through the process be your task book sign off. We did have some individuals who hadn't completed that, but we had a really good team. We tasked them with a lot of work. They had to develop scenarios, they had to support our logistics, they had to staff the field day, and everybody did this for free, which was amazing. Susan brought us food, PSCC office supported us, we worked them pretty hard. This is our planning team members. You can see we had representation from all over the state. We had police, fire, EMS, state forestry, emergency management. We had a really good mix of individuals who helped us plan this. Our trainees, again, they sent out a notice to try and find out who was interested in doing that. And when they showed up, we wanted them to be prepared to work. So they had to come up with all of their equipment. We checked off equipment. We put them to work right off the bat. They didn't get any orientation. It was show us all your equipment and let us get to work with it. We designated a team leader. They were responsible for moving the teams through the stations, and each team had 6 to 8 members. We tried to split them up, half ComLs and half Comtechs. Throughout this field day, we made the participants select which path they wanted to go down. They couldn't do one or they couldn't do both. They had to pick which one they were going to go towards. So we had 27 trainees from the field day, 19 agencies, and 5 counties, which was pretty good for something held in Maricopa County. We had some VIP observers that showed up. Lisa Meyerson, at the time statewide coordinator, coordinated the observers for us, and we were able to have them tour the various activities and participate in a discussion following that to look at the value of what we were putting together and really determine the long-term scope of what we were putting together for this. Chief Campbell attended, Miss Lisa Hansen from Department of Homeland Security, Mr. Manfredi, George Molnar. We had the Nevada SWIC come down there to see how we were doing this so they could take the best practices and lessons learned back to their state. General Salinas, Director of the Joint of Staff there, and Paul Wilson was down or up from Pima County to see how we were doing things. So our accomplishments, based on the feedback, it was very positive. We received some great feedback from all of the participants. The event was successful because of the event planning team we had. Again, all of this equipment, a lot of it Homeland Security purchased. All of the time was donated. All of the agencies were allowed their personnel to show up. event planners were there for 3 days for the most part, so it was not a short week for them. We had a 1 to 1.5 ratio, which was pretty good. We almost had a one-on-one ratio of participants in event planners, so that was critical to our success. We didn't have one person trying to observe 7 or 8 different people and then have to go back and sign off task books. The field day was well documented, and I'm going to thank Susan for that. She's back there, but there's a copy of the documentation, and a lot of times field days go off, and then somebody doesn't keep notes of it, and then a couple years later you're trying to do a field day and figure out what you did, and you don't have any solid documentation. Thanks to the PSCC office and the efforts of Susan and everybody else, we have a very comprehensive document that details exactly how we did this, what resources did we have, and we're able to reproduce that in the future. The registration process, we attracted the right individuals. I think that was in large part to the PSCC office putting out the survey ahead of time to try and market this to the right group. Tech station activities were good. We allowed people a hands-on approach. They were able to have contact with equipment that they normally wouldn't see. And the information was great as far as networking. Again, everybody left with everyone else's phone numbers and capabilities. And to me, that's one of the greatest values. Task books, that was good. That's what we wanted to do. But that networking and relationships was critical to our success. So, a couple lessons learned on that. ComL and ComTech. We got a little bit, some people wanted it either one or the other. It was a little difficult having people mixed together. A little more scenario-based activities. This was a lot of just hands-on technical work. The stations were very, not real scenario-based, just go do, and then we'll sign you off. And I think our participants were asking for a lot more scenario-based, similar to what they did on their on that exercise that we just heard about. More scenarios. How do you respond to those scenarios, and how do you equip them for communications? Detailed equipment list from each tech station. A lot of it was last minute. We threw in a lot of equipment. Things we didn't expect showed up, which was great for us. Bad for tech station managers at the end of the day trying to figure out where all this equipment ended up. Multiple radio programming stations. That one I think ended up being more popular than we thought it was going to be, and we ran out of computers, ran out of radios, and ran out of people to take a look at that. So we did learn some valuable lessons on that. Future applications. We need to take a look at the venue size was good. Bad weather day, but everybody managed. Good exercise communications days are not always sunny and nice, so that was good for us. And it would not have been possible without the planning team. Everybody was fantastic. You can see our pictures down there of everybody participating, and a lot of these people traveled great distances to participate with us. So it was a major undertaking, a significant effort. I'm going to thank the PSCC office. They're thanking everybody else in here except themselves. You guys did a fantastic job. We wouldn't have been able to do that. I had initially applied for the grant. I knew I couldn't do it, so I got with the PSCC office and asked them if they'd be willing for me to MOU that money and have them do that. So we had our VIP observers, ADEM, the civil support team, the military reservation for letting us invade their space for a couple of days, all of the trainees. It was just an amazing day. Our next steps on this, we want to take what we've accomplished, and we want to be able to reproduce this in the future with similar events. The funding on this, a lot of funding was put in for the planning and the documentation preparation, but at this point we have a blueprint. We have a template on how we need to do this. We know how to organize this thanks to the efforts of SAIC and the PSCC office, and the documentation that you have shows you exactly how to do this. It's a lot of effort. I'm not going to say that it wasn't. Susan and the PSCC office aren't going to tell you that it wasn't, but we hope to have more of these in the future. As we get these ComTech and ComL classes through, we need a venue for people to be able to get their task books signed off. This was a great opportunity to get a lot of those tasks that you may not get to do on an incident every single day, and then you can supplement that with your actual incidents. With that, any other questions or anything I can answer about our field day?
Any questions? Okay.
I've got one. Jesse, were you primarily focusing on volunteers, or are these full-time employees that the ComLs?
We actually opened it up to both. So we did have, I think we had some RACES individuals and a couple others. So we did have some volunteers who came on their own time to do that. It was open to anybody in the communications discipline. So police, fire, EMS, or our non-governmental organization support partners. I think we had the hospital David McCarthy was involved in that, and in the future we had the American Red Cross and Civil Air Patrol had also expressed some interest in participating with this. So it wasn't just your standard public safety, but it was those other partners that we work with.
There was a application process that participants needed to go through. They had to have the support of their agency. They had to have certain prerequisites, primarily attending the Commonwealth class and all of those other requirements. We had it open wide, and we were fortunate we had the right amount of applicants and the right quality of applicants. We would not have been able probably to have any more than the 27 that we had there, just because of the amount of logistics that was required. It was great being able to have the 1.5 to 1 ratio and kind of hands-on instruction, because there were some of the activities that did need a little more in-depth detail discussion, particularly like the setting up the portable gateways for people that don't even use that type of equipment in their system. So.
I think similar to what Chief Campbell had mentioned was we were also able to expose people from outside of the metro area to some of our equipment that might actually support some of their incidents. Our RRT or IST may end up taking some of this equipment to their area to support them, and it's not something they have readily available for them to use every single day. So we were hoping to expose them to some of that equipment, and conversely, up in the metro area, we got exposed to some of the equipment that we don't get to see all the time. So that was another valuable experience for everybody.
It seems like every time we do one of these, people show up with all kinds of equipment, and we realize we don't have enough computers to take care of all the programming from the radios. That comes up every single time.
And we found a lot of equipment that we didn't know we had. People have stuff all over the place. And that's the value of those TIC-Ps, the documentation of where is all of this stuff, because as we found out over the past 2 weeks, we needed a lot of equipment. We were making a lot of phone calls, and we were digging equipment out of people's closets that we didn't know they had it until we actually got a chance to see it.
And I do want to make a quick update. This was originally scheduled to be presented at the April PSCC meeting. Since then, Homeland Security has gone through their first round of reviews and RAC recommendations on the grants. In each of the grants, we put forward in each of the RACs, we put forward a grant to support the communications unit training program that would offer another round of hopefully up to 5 ComL courses, another ComT course, and another field day such as this one. The Central RAC had some fallout money from 2011 SHISHCAP funds, and they have since awarded $25,000 to our office to begin the planning effort. So we're actually already starting our planning efforts for next year's field day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jesse.